So you've been in the location space since about 2003, is that right?
That's right.
During that time, have you been surprised at the trajectory at all? Did you expect that it maybe would have taken off sooner, or has it gone to a point now where it's just off the charts?
Yeah, I think a little of both. For the first 4 or 5 years, it was pretty quiet. The location space represented probably 10 companies maybe. And so we were frustrated back then about how slow the adoption was going. But then with the introduction of the iPhone and the Apple Store, the explosion has been way beyond anything we could have anticipated. And just the driving of these devices and apps into the mainstream has happened so much faster than any of us would have predicted.
So it took a while, but then...
Yeah, it's an 8-year overnight success.
Yeah. What's the most innovative use of location you've seen recently?
Well, so part of what we like to focus on is that you're seeing location being woven into all apps of all kinds. And really, location is just part of the core infrastructure. It's really what mobile is. This location element is what's unique. But you always see some interesting new ideas come along. Like some of our favorites are around in the area of augmented reality. One of my new favorite apps is something called Peak AR, where you can actually, while skiing or hiking, aim your camera out at the mountains and ranges around you, and it'll actually identify the names of the peaks.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's useful.
It's useful from a neat standpoint, but it's really just an amazing combination of existing information into a way that's very valuable.
Right. Switching gears a little bit, I was interested to know how developers are using the spot rank data. It seems like a particularly rich data set.
It's incredibly rich, and it's also new, and so there's a lot of experimentation going on and pilots using it as ways to suggest hot places to go at the moment, or even best time to go to a restaurant before it gets busy. And it's so new that we're still in this kind of piloting experimentation phase. A lot of the brands or the advertising agencies are looking at different ways they could target based on this kind of human density data. We're working with retailers as they try and figure out where to put their next store based on pedestrian foot traffic they see at their most popular stores.
Right.
This daytime movement and demographic data is something that's never existed before. And it's a gold mine, except it takes a while to change how everyone's been using people data to date. And so it's still in the early days, but it's incredibly valuable, and it's frankly why all the big platforms are fighting to protect and control their own location data, because they know this spot rank-like information is going to drive most of marketing and planning and behavioral analysis going forward.
Right. So the last question I have for you, how do you see location evolving over the next 2 years or so?
Well, I think what you're going to see is it being integrated into just about every service and user experience in some fashion. I think what's going to be interesting over the next year or so is how this new privacy concern gets woven into that. Because we've all been racing to roll out these new services, and now we're saying, okay, what new problems have we developed? And just seeing the news over the last couple of days, you're starting to see how sensitive an issue all this has been. And we've also always tried to be concerned about it and sensitive to it, but now it's kind of coming to the forefront.
Sure.
And what we don't want to do is make a mistake that reverses all the great innovation that's happened over the last couple of years, and make sure that people are comfortable with this data. So that's where I think a lot of the discussion is going to be about over the next year, is how do we continue to drive location into all these experiences without tripping over individual privacy.
Right. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.